Disclaimer, this week's podcast may mention topics that are triggering to some listeners. Please check the list of trigger warnings below in the podcast description. Welcome to the Book Tea with Vee. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Book Tea with Vee. And honestly, how are we already in October? I just feel like this year has gone so quickly. But let's jump straight into what the book tea is this week. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about books that I would love to see turned into either a movie or a TV show. And now today, I find out that the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy is going to be turned into a TV show by Amazon Prime Video. This was the series I was talking about 3 weeks ago. Did I manifest this? And if so, what should I manifest next? Jokes aside, this is incredible. I cannot wait to see what they do with this. And just a huge congratulations to Elle Kennedy. This must be such a huge moment. I am so excited. So what have I been reading? October has started with a bang. I feel like I had a really quiet September. I didn't read as much. I was just super busy. But October, I feel like that's all going to change. So I'm currently listening to Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. It is just, I'm obsessed with it. I am so obsessed with this book. I'm about 20% into listening to it and I love it. And then I read Broken by Sadie Kincaid. Now this is the first book in her Manhattan Ruthless series. I loved it. It's so good. And Sadie Kincaid, she always brings the spice. But this one was so heartfelt as well. I loved it. And then my current read is Dancing in Sin by Kelly Kelsey. I'm about 30% in and I am hooked. So I wanted to talk about something in particular today because a couple of weeks ago, I was asked what started my dark romance journey? Like what book was it or what author was it? And I feel like a lot of us have the same answer. Mine personally started with Rina Kent. I mean, what a place to start, right? I started with Cruel King. I came across this book randomly on Kindle Unlimited and I never looked back. But it was Deviant King and that trilogy where I was just like, whoa, my eyes just widened and I was like, this is it. This is where I'm at. I love this. I need thousands more of this. And she's just been an instant buy author for me since the beginning. And I am so excited because today's pre-recorded interview is with the icon herself, Rina Kent. Rina Kent, thank you so much for being on the Book Tea with Vee. I am so excited to chat with you today.
I am so happy to be here and thank you so much for making this interview. I feel like I don't talk to you guys so much, so this is a good opportunity. Thank you for providing it.
No, of course. And I feel like we're just happy whenever we get the chance. And you know, as always, I usually start at the beginning and I think I would just love to know, when did you discover your love of writing?
Oh God, I think I always I was always a bookworm, that's for sure, ever since I was like 2 or 3. I remember one of my happiest childhood memories was when my aunt bought me this complete collection of fairy tales when I was around, I don't know, 6. And I remember sleeping with them under my pillow, like no kidding. And I would wake up at night and I would check if they're still there. And my grandma is like, they're there. No one is going to touch them, okay? And I've always loved reading. And I had the pleasure to read in different languages ever since I was young. So I feel that also started my love for writing. Because I do remember I wrote my first short story when I was 7. And even like my teacher at the time was very impressed with the imagination because honestly, I kid you not, my first story at 7 was about kids and monsters, and the monster who is known as the villain is actually a good person. So you should know. I had a very warped sense ever since I was a kid.
People would pay to read that now. People would be like, can I have that?
Exactly. I was like, and honestly, that short story, and I even made an illustration for it, and I cut the little images, and there is like doors, which door are you going to choose? And now, like, when I think about it, I was like, that's my beginning. I'm going to roll with that.
I love that. So that brings me to my next question. Like, you were obviously always a big reader. Now, in your life now, are you still a big reader?
Honestly, now, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think because when I'm writing, I don't really read because I don't want any other author's voice or thoughts or ideas to mingle with my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't read when I'm writing, but I do read when I'm not writing. And I also, even when I'm writing, I actually do read like some historical books, some political, social, whatever things. But usually it's like half an hour before sleep. So it's not much time. And I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, so that helps. I know many people say audiobooks is not reading, but it's a book. It has a book
Mm-hmm.
in it, so I don't care. It's a book. I'm counting it.
I would say that it's reading. I definitely feel like we're in that sort of day and age where we're time poor a little bit. So sometimes it's the only way to get that book, and I think it counts too.
Yeah, it's true because sometimes like I don't have the time to sit down and read. It's just impossible. Sometimes like doing things like in the house for life, like doing some house chores, getting out, doing anything, and the only time you have like for a book is in your ears when you're
Mm-hmm.
walking, when you're doing house chores, whatever. So that's the only real time. So for me, audiobooks or even anything that I can listen to, as long as I'm focused on it and I can tell what's going on, it's a book.
Which I guess it's never too far from your mind, like your plot and your characters. So it actually must be hard to put that aside and actually pick up something else.
It's true. It's true. So even I found myself doing this, I think 2 days ago. I was listening to a podcast, not an audiobook. And it's like this one of those political podcasts and whatever about things. And the guy was talking, and I was thinking, yeah, actually, if I do this and I change this a bit, then I can get to that point in my story. And then I missed 20 minutes of what he was saying. So sometimes I just have to like, you know what, I'm putting you on pause. Let me think. I need time to think. So it does happen a lot, especially when I'm writing, not when I'm plotting. Because when I'm plotting, annoyingly, the thoughts don't come in.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm writing, and usually when I get to know the characters better, that's when some plot twists would come in, usually, which is what's happening right now.
See, you're very good at the moment. You're just dropping crumbs, and we're all just there, just like
That's
little baby birds.
that's all you're gonna get.
I love it. I do. I love it. And you have so many genres that you do write: high school, college, mafia, romance, and now dark sports. Do you have a favorite to write now that you're writing, another element? Do you go, this one's my favorite? Do you have a particular genre you love the most?
Honestly, when it comes to dark romance in general, I don't have a favorite as long as it's dark. As long as it's not sweet, I am all for it.
As long as
Like
everyone's going
you
through
have
it.
me. You have me at the angst. If people are at each other's throats, if people are fighting, if it's enemies to lovers, you have me, body and soul. I used to read some sweet romance when I was growing up. I never liked them. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
I just can't relate. I'm like, and the other day I tried to pick up like a very popular book, and I was like, let me try again. I love the writing. I love the plot. I really do. But when does he get crazy? What is the craziness? I can't relate.
What do you
I
mean?
finished it. I'm like, what do you mean what do you mean he says okay? What do you mean he's like, yeah, we will follow what you said? No, no, no.
Strange.
Mm-mm.
It's like he's got to
I
hate
was
you, but
broken.
also burn the world down for you. There's only
I'm
that
like,
guy.
no. Always at the back of my mind that in the last 20%, he'll turn out to be the villain. And I'm like, where's the plot twist? But yes, I think I'm broken. But as long as it's dark, I do love, I know that, especially in the beginning, a lot of people said, I don't write, I put them through the darkness, but I don't give them the sweetness. So they feel like there's something missing. Like we got a lot of dark and now we want something sweet,
Mm-hmm.
because we went through it. And I used to really despise writing those scenes. For me, there was fillers, but now I learned to actually embrace them
Yes.
because it's true. If they went through the dark, they need to have the moments. And I felt this especially in God of Fury and God of War,
Mm-hmm.
because for God of Fury, I actually had to add 4 scenes. For
Okay.
instance, the scene where the scene after Bran spent the first night, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh.
Those 2 scenes. And there's also the scene, like the 3 chapters after. So it was supposed to be after he spent the night. Afterwards, like the scene right after it was the scene in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a big gap, and my
Mm-hmm.
beta readers were like, "We need more moments. You can't just leave us hanging here." So you have to thank them, because they're the reason I thought about adding more scenes, and this is why you got all of those beautiful domestic scenes that I love so much. The same with God of War. I had to add the island scene. I had to add like a few more after I write the book. I have to understand, because for me, I write the bare minimum. A lot of people tell me, where is your deleted scenes? I don't have those. I actually add afterwards, because for me, I'm goal oriented, so I want to reach the end.
Yes.
And then I go back and edit again and add the scenes that I feel I'm missing and all of that. So I never have deleted scenes. I wish I did, but I don't. I
Th-
am an underwriter.
those readers are all getting Christmas cards this year. I just need
Yes,
addresses and
they
I'll send out.
deserve it. They deserve it.
But you were saying about like plotting out your books just before, and I've always been fascinated when I found out that you get quite a few characters and plots from your dreams, and I just think, well, A, I think that's amazing, but B, I'm like, some of those dreams must be so intense. So I want to know what character or what dream has been the most memorable.
Oh, hands down, the Deception trilogy's dream, because that woke me up. It was actually a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. It was the cliff scene
Oh,
where Leah was running through the forest, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I was sweating, and I was like, "This is my sign." And I was actually in the middle of, I don't know which book I was thinking about, but Adrian and Leah's book was not supposed to happen, by the way. And
really?
yes, and that dream is the reason they did. So I had that dream when I was writing the Throne duet,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how Adrian was like a side character there, and we met Leah as well. And I got it when I was writing that duet, and I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect story for Adrian. And I don't know if you felt it, but I already like hinted at it, because Bry was helping Leah at the
Mm-hmm.
end of Throne Duet, I think. And I was like, I need to give Adrian and Leah their book. And honestly, it turned out one of my most memorable trilogies ever, just
Oh,
because of that dream.
and it is. It's one of those books that a lot of people, don't even know. Well, go straight into mafia. They don't go to Royal Elite. They tend to see Deception Trilogy everywhere. But I can see why, because it's such just a bit of a mind fuck, really, in the best way. Like it just has everything, and you end up, at the start you're like, I can't stand this man, and then at the end you're like, where
It
can I find
is.
this man?
It's true. It's true. I mean, Adrian is one of those characters that I love to hate when I was writing them. And usually that's a good sign. Usually, when I hate the main character a little, that's when people love them the most.
Hmm.
Aiden, Adrian,
Hayden King,
trio.
oh gosh, yeah, it's the trifecta. Aiden King was my first book where I went, I like this. I like how possessive he is. I like how unapologetic he is. And then I was in a downward spiral ever since. And I was just so lucky at the time that you had so many books out. I think you were up to Empire of Lust, or that was just about to come out. So I just had days of just reading through your catalogue. And then it was just the Rina Kent depression of having to then wait. We all have to go through it.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, I always say like the people who come now when there's like 30
Oh,
books or
so good.
32, I actually forgot. So basically when they come now, they're like, oh my God, I have all of these books.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tell you I finished them in 2 weeks. How am I gonna wait for the next one? I'm like, guys, that took me 5 years to write,
Yeah.
but thank you.
You're like, I mean, there's only so much a girl can do.
You know? When is the next book?
Always. Literally, the book comes out, we read
Always.
it. When's the next release?
Hopefully soon. Working on it.
Oh, so excited. And to bring us back to dreams, I do always also want to know, because it happens to you a lot, is there a dream that you've had or a character in a dream that you haven't written about yet or won't?
No, usually if a character appears in my dream, they usually get a book.
Okay.
The latest dream I had is about Caden and Gareth. So maybe that's a sign. We'll see. Not promising anything.
I know, you've got to be so careful because we hold on to things like this.
Yes,
Well,
yes. But yeah, I always said it's a maybe. I always said that. So
which
we'll
is,
see.
look, at this point, I think we'll take anything we can get. So, and I mean, there are so many side characters that I think, we're just so interested in. It's just,
Yeah, I always say, like, I know some people really love some side characters. I always get, what about Remy and Ari? Guys, I gave them the happy ending in God of War because I don't really have a story for them. Remy is too much of a green flag. I can't write about them. I can't write about him. I'm sorry, I just can't. I mean, I can make her like the psycho, but still, people will say they love a character that is like the men.
mm-hmm.
Someone like Ari, who is a bit of a stalker, who doesn't care. But when you write that, people will attack it. It is a
Yes.
given.
Yes.
And you have to know, as much as I love the romance community, as much as I am grateful for everything that they give me, many readers tend to be harder on female characters than male characters.
Yes.
Like, he can be an absolute psycho. He can kill a village. He can have very questionable morals. He can be into non-con, dub-con, whatever it is, and he tend to be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
A woman would be a bit too confident in herself.
Yeah.
And she will be a pick-me. She will be, I am not like the other girls, and she will be absolutely, I can't stand her. So it is very hard for us romance authors in general to balance that.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't really have a story for Remy and Ari in my head for now. I mean, not for now, forever, because they really don't speak to me, which is why I gave them a happy ending. And Vaughn, on the other hand, I also don't have a story for him. So I get it. Like, in every freaking post, everyone where's Remy? Where's Vaughn?
Where's Vaughn? I see that all the time.
I love you guys, but just because you love these characters, I love them too, but not every side character can get a book. That's just impossible. And I have to be super picky now because I'm not writing as fast as before, and I'm taking more breaks. So,
which I think it's you've got to look after your time, your mental health, and it's just, I think the characters, like you say, sometimes they, like the Deception trilogy, it wasn't going to happen. We may get books in the future if you might have a dream.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of books were not supposed to happen. Like, God of Fury was not supposed to happen.
That hurts a little.
Like, honest to God, honest to God, God of Fury and God of Wrath. I mean, God of Wrath, yes, but it wasn't supposed to be Jeremy and Cecily was supposed to be with someone else. And God of Fury, I actually contemplated hard before writing that book because I did want to write an MM.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I was like, are people really going to get an MM from an author who they know for being a straight romance author? Like, would they even want to? And I was contemplating a pen name and all of the other stuff. And honestly, I was blown away by the response. So
But I think that's
there's
also
that.
because you had dabbled, though. We had seen a little bit of it. And I think if anyone remembers, anything in the Rinaverse, we had Ethan and Angus, we had Maxim and Anton. I might be pronouncing this wrong. Is it Akira and Ren?
Akira and Ren, yes.
So we have sort of seen dynamics, and I think it made us hungry for that MM dynamic because, and I know that people have asked for books for them as well. Those characters, we'd love to see, even just a short story on them. So it's definitely
True.
something that I think was in the back of
Ethan.
people's minds.
Yes, and true. I also wanted to write stories for them, but I think I wasn't, it's not like bravery. It was like, for me, if I'm writing out of the comfort zone that people are used to, like the Empire series, which wasn't that dark. So it is actually one of my worst performing series because I dabbled outside of my genre, outside of what people know me for. So I wrote office contemporary romance. People didn't really vibe with that, like at all.
That's so interesting to me.
So yes, they didn't. So they know me for dark, and if I go something that's not dark, people will be like, meh. So for MM, I wanted to write Akira and Ren, and I wanted to write Ethan and Agnes, but at the same time, I was like, am I ready to take this hit, spending a lot of time and energy and a lot of money and marketing about something that's not going to sell? So for them, I was like, it doesn't matter. So I will leave it on the back burner for now.
Yeah.
But for Bran and Nico, I was the one who wanted to write it. And even when I was talking with my team, they were like, maybe you should make it actually book 6. So if people don't want to read it, it's the last book and it doesn't mean much. So they can skip the last book. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to consider it a passion project because I want to write them. And if people want to read it, they're welcome. If not, thank you very much. You can skip and go to the next book. And I am absolutely flabbergasted by the response God of Fury got. And it is my opening to write more MM. So
that is so exciting. I remember those two were my personality for a good year because we weren't going to be getting that book. I don't even think it had been announced at that point, but I remember the first 2 books, just their scenes were so electric and just had you going, I need more. I need to know what happened after that scene, like when they were drinking. It just really lent into itself. And I feel like a lot of readers hadn't read MM before, and then they're coming in to a new world that they haven't read. And it was just so much fun to, especially online, to see people go, oh my God, I love it. I need more. And that being their first MM book.
Yes, that's just absolutely brilliant. And also the fact that people would say, I've never read an MM, but I'm reading this one because I want to know what's going on. So that's like, I'm like, yes, do read it. Go read other MM. You're going to love it. Your first MM is definitely not going to be your last. I can assure you that.
How was it writing them? Was it like, did you love the experience? Did you find any challenges?
Oh God. I think it was one of my favorite books ever to write. Like, honestly, it was your personality for a year. It was my personality for 2 years, but also my personality for the 3 months I spent to write them. I was literally talking about them to everyone. Literally everyone. Like, oh, hold on, I'm writing this book. And my friend was like, why are you, she's not a reader, by the way. And she's like, why are you writing a gay romance? Isn't that weird? I'm like, go, I'm not talking to you. Someone else
Yeah.
come. I need to talk to someone who understands. And she's like, yeah, but like, do you understand? Like, do you have like she's like, do straight women actually like I'm like, you'll be surprised. She's like, maybe I should check it out. I'm like, yeah, do. I have recommendations. And actually, for me, what made it maybe easier is that I have two gay couples who are my very close friends. One of them is my best friend. And he was, and he is one of those people who is an oversharer by nature. So he would send you like a 10-minute VM at 3 in the morning, starting with, guess what I just did. So you should know what I just did. But honestly, he helped me a lot with all of the intimate stuff and all of the sex scenes. And I'm like, I'll be like, can this happen? And he's like, I have suggestions. Let's do this and this. But his suggestions are so crazy, maybe in another book, not that one. But I was like, come on, like stop. You know that this is like brands, like this is his first time with a guy and all of that. It's like, you should know, like, we can handle anything. And he'll be dropping all of the sites, dropping all of the things. And I'm like, you need to stop. And then I was with him and his boyfriend on release day for God of Fury. And he's not really a reader, but he did read like some of the sex scenes, some of the stuff, just to make sure they fit in.
Yeah.
He was like a sensitivity reader of sorts. And then we went to a theater on release day. And I kid you not, God of Fury hit #1 in Kindle store when we were there. And this guy, he was screaming in the middle of the theater and he almost got us kicked out. I'm like, shut up. Honestly, just shut up.
Your friend is giving
And
Nico energy, just quietly.
Oh, he has some of it. He has some of it. He definitely does. And he is absolutely insane with the way he's like, oh, we need to celebrate. Let's go here. Let's go there. Dinner's on me and all of the stuff. And he's like, now you need to dedicate your next book to me. So we'll see.
Well, it must help.
Me.
It must give you a bit more confidence in writing an MM book with someone going, no, that's not really believable, or yeah, this is absolutely how it is. Whether it's sex scenes or, you know, dialogue or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. It does help. And I also like, I always, even with my normal books, especially with mannerisms, I usually like loosely get inspired by my entourage. So it does help like in making them as real people, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So yes, it does help. And I have like a lot of friends that I talk plot with, even if they're not readers, especially if they're not readers, just to get the gist of it.
Yes.
So like this, my friend, the girl who is not a reader, and when I told her about the MM plot, and she was like, I mean, that seems a bit far-fetched, but I'm like, you don't know romance, you stay away. And then when I told her about the plot for God of War, however, she was super excited. And she was like, actually, I would read that. So it really depends, I think, on the personality of the person.
Yes.
And I do talk plot a lot. I feel like I'm one of those people who, if I talk about it more, I get more ideas.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I love that. And you were just saying about mannerisms. And what I loved about Legacy of Gods is we really saw in their characteristics a part of their parents. And Royally was where I personally started. And I was really lucky because I found Cruel King first. Aiden King is my one true love. That will never change. Oh, there's like a top 3, I guess. But I feel like people still talk, and I love it. I still love the fact that Royally is still so celebrated and loved. Was it nice to kind of be able to revisit with them again in Legacy of Gods?
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, I owe it to Aiden for the style of writing that I do right now. Because when I first started out, like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something, I was writing, I joined this like newbie authors groups and stuff like that. And we were in this group like aspiring authors, and we exchanged chapters and books like we were writing, and the other people would tell us their opinion and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Usually it's not about grammar, it's about plot, it's
Yeah.
about character development and all of that. And I remember being shamed so hard by those women,
That makes me
even
really
though they wrote
sad.
romance. Even though they wrote romance. And we're not talking the level of dark of Aiden. We're talking the level of dark of maybe, I don't know, Knox or even
Okay.
Nathaniel.
Yeah.
That's not dark. That's just a bit edgy.
Yes.
And they were clutching their pearls so hard. And I was, maybe this is not for me. And I even thought like maybe I shouldn't even publish. Like,
Oh,
let me
that's
keep
really
this.
sad.
And then I was like, you know what? I think that there are people for every readers for every genre.
Yes.
And I wrote Aiden, like I also had a dream about the Deviant King series and stuff. I also wrote Aiden as a passion project. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write this the way I want it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. So if people like it, they will like it. If not, I think this is all. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it is definitely, and then of course, like the Royal Elite series was the first series for me that was a hit. And Aiden is literally the reason why my men are like that, because that is what I want to write in reality. And I used to water them down, and I didn't like that. It's just not for me.
No.
So Aiden just opened the doors, like, be yourself. There
And
are people who love me.
100%. And like, he made me question myself, but did I love him any less? No, I love Aiden King. Like, I feel like, and you have such a way in which you do this. Like, I feel like you set us up to hate a character and then they end up being our favorite. And that's my top three, I would say, would be Aiden King, Jonathan King, Kirill. But also, I have to mention Creighton. I feel like he's so underrated.
Oh, he is my poor Cray. I don't know why he's so underrated. He is, he's just, he's one of my, I don't know, he's very grumpy and he's into PTSM. He loves pain. And I think he's not really as dark as the other characters, but at the same time, he's very, very edgy. Like, he
Yes.
can be crazy if needed. But at the same time, I think it's maybe because he's too silent. I don't know. I'm not sure. Honestly, it's a mystery for me why people don't really like Cray.
I loved him. And I feel like with my favorite FMCs as well, they all come from the same books. Elsa, I loved Sasha. I honestly, I'll be buried with those books. Honestly, that is just my Roman Empire, the monster trilogy. It really is. But if you had to choose three characters, three MMCs, three FMCs, who would they be?
Oh, God.
It's
Only
cruel.
three? How dare you?
I know. I know. It's
I don't
horrible.
know. Only three? That's impossible.
It is
I
hard.
don't know. I mean, I would say I really love Adrian for sure. Um, Adrian is just special to me. Aiden as well, but Aiden, I would put him with, he is at the same level as Jonathan,
Hmm.
probably. I mean, the daddies like Jonathan and Kingsley.
I love Kingsley
For
too,
me, they are the
actually.
same. They are the same level. I can't pick between them. Who else? Oh God, Nico. I love Nico so much. And Landon. And no, I'm not choosing. We're done. I'm going to name them all because Nico, Landon, I really, really love Killian as well. Um, I know he's questionable, but he's my questionable psycho. I really loved him when I wrote him. I loved and hated him at the same time. I honestly, like, when I was writing those first three chapters, I was like, am I really writing this? Yes, I am. And I'm going to keep writing it. And I think Killian was one of the crispest, how do you say, not crisp, he was crystal clear
Oh,
in my
yeah.
head. Very clear when I was writing him. I felt like I didn't need to try hard with him, like some other cats.
It was just so
Some other
natural.
cats it's just natural. For Killian and for Nico, Nico's voice was so clear that I did not even need to think about his mannerisms, like at all. At all. He was like, I'm here, I'm gonna be here, and my voice is this, deal with it. So
I love that. I really, really do. But we must talk about your Mafia series because, again,
all right.
Monster Trilogy, I love it. And I know that you've spoken about Damien potentially getting a bit. It's one of those things, again, where you're like, would love to, it's just timing. But apart from that, do you see writing Mafia in the future, like separately to the Rinaverse?
Actually, yes, actually Damien's book, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen within a series.
Wow, okay.
So, but it's not going to be, probably, I'm not sure yet, but it's going to be like a series of standalone in the Mafia. So it's probably going to include like Damien, it's going to include Niccolo from the Italian Mafia, it's going maybe to include someone from the Japanese Yakuza or something like that. Maybe it's still a maybe. Maybe it will be only about the Russian Mafia again. I'm not sure.
I love
But
that.
we'll see. If it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen within a series, though.
Yes, which, we're not going to complain about at all. I feel like as well, and I made a video about this a couple of days ago, and it was books I could see as a movie, and Deception Trilogy straight away came to me. I think it would be such a cool thriller romance on screen. And then it had me thinking, I wonder if you've ever thought about that, like if you could choose like a book or certain books to be on screen, which would you choose?
I think, yes, definitely Deception Trilogy or the Monster Trilogy, mostly because they are very plot heavy.
Yes.
So it's not, so there are books that I write that are more about the character's struggle. So there aren't a lot of events going on. It's more about the characters coming into themselves, the characters' development, all the events that happen around that development. But the Monster Trilogy and the Deception Trilogy are very plot heavy. So they'll probably look very good on screen. I would love seeing Kirill on screen or Adrian.
Either
I
or.
would die.
Both. It is
Both.
actually kind of hard to choose, to be honest.
Make it a series with two
Oh,
couples.
God, it would be so good. Honestly, I feel like they don't bring enough to screen. If they really just looked into some romance books properly, like, and actually made it blockbusters.
Oh, God. We can't be commercialized.
That's
You want all the Puritans to come after us? No.
That is so true. It's, it already happens so much on Book Talk as it is. It's like,
true. So
it can be a war zone out
you
there.
post something. Yeah, honestly, you post something and they're like, you guys need therapy.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello, this is not real.
No, I know.
This is not real. How old are you? Do you recognize reality from fiction? Because this is not real.
No, and I feel like, and you must get this a lot, and I feel like I had to, in my own way, learn to just ignore it because you're not fighting with people that, or, even trying to have a conversation with people that want to understand. They have such a warped idea of what, and without even reading these books, with what the book is about or what is perceived from those books. And I just think, I would never go and be like, oh, you're into horror movies. That's weird.
Yes, true. Yeah, I mean, I always talk about this. Like, I feel like women in general and what women want to do or like to read or like to watch is very censored, which is very misogynistic. because we don't go to men and see, why do you love reading Stephen King?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like killing people? Why are people okay with Game of Thrones and incest? Do we like accuse you of going and having incest in your real life? No, we don't, because we know that's fiction. So why is it when women like write books for other women like them, who are adults,
Mm-hmm.
who know exactly how to separate between reality and fiction, and there are a lot of readers who had like sexual abuse in their past, and
Yeah.
they feel like they gain actual freedom by reading about a book where there is a happy ending and where they
Yeah.
have the actual power to close that book, you know? And
Absolutely.
there is like, it's, I'm not talking about all of them, because trauma is different and people actually react to trauma differently, but it is fiction. So we know how to separate between reality and fiction. If we see something like that in reality, we're not going to stand by and watch. And if I meet, I always say this, if I meet any of my male characters in real life, I'm running away as far away as possible. You know, that's a red flag in real life, but that's not real life. You
No.
know, it's fiction. It's fiction. I hope people would, I think we need to actually educate people to separate between reality and fiction, because
Yes.
they can do that just fine with horror movies and with killers, but apparently with romance it's a no.
It does. It boggles my mind. And I think, even away from fiction, I know people that love true crime podcasts. The more gory the story, the better. And like that is just their entertainment. They really enjoy, I guess, the thriller element of that, and just the, that mind aspect of them going, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. It's the same thing. I would never go, and that's real, but I wouldn't be like, that's really, really strange. I'm like, okay, that's just something that you're really intrigued in. Okay. Like, it just doesn't, I
Yeah,
think I'm just one of those people that, I don't know, maybe I'm selfish, but my life doesn't consist of what everyone else is doing as well. Like, I would never, I couldn't imagine getting so worked up over what someone else was watching or reading that was, we're adults, especially when it comes to
yeah,
romance.
true.
I feel like romance,
It's not yeah, sorry,
no, no, no.
keep
I,
going.
I feel like romance is finally getting its moment and people don't like it.
I mean, it's not new. I mean, romance had got its moment in the 80s with
True.
Harlequin and all of the body strippers and stuff like that. And women were demonized for that as well. How dare you, like, read about someone, some pirate doing the body stripping or whatever. But honestly, we just want to read our fiction and be in peace. You don't see
Yeah.
us going out and killing people or doing that
No.
for real people. We just love our fiction. And honestly, for me, the reason why I love dark is because my life is pretty stable. Knock on wood, hopefully I don't jinx it, but it's pretty stable and it's pretty boring. So for me, I live through fiction,
Yeah.
and I really love that. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's like getting lost in this book that has like these dark elements, and you're getting lost with these characters and you want to see them at the end of the tunnel. And I suppose many women are just like that.
Very
Many of
much.
my readers, yeah, they're married or they have their lives, they have kids, and they just want to have time for themselves at the end of the day and enjoy a good book. But I love, what I love the most now is that actually dark romance is getting out there, and you
100%.
can find it in bookstores,
I
and the
know.
pearl clutchers can clutch the pearls.
Yes. And, you're being published and all these exciting things are happening. Like, are you just going to go to a store one day and be like, oh my God, this is here? Because obviously, you're extremely private. No one's going to know. You can have a moment and just be like, hmm,
Exactly.
little,
I'm going to
little,
take a picture and be like, I saw my book in store today.
that
Guess
must have been a
where?
moment. That must have been a moment for you.
Yes, definitely it is. I mean, I am super thankful. I didn't know like Special Legacy of Gods. I just wrote a second generation. Never thought it would be so popular this way. but I'm thankful. I'm very humbled, and I know like us romance, like dark romance readers, we're out there and we exist and we're here to stay, no matter
Yeah.
what anyone says.
I love that. You heard it here first from Rina Kent.
Absolutely.
But we have to talk about you saying goodbye to the Rinaverse because it's been a part of your writing life for so long now. And it's, brought so much success. Everyone loves it. Everyone was devastated to sort of see the end of it for a while. But how was it personally for you?
Oh God, it was definitely heartbreaking.
Mm.
I remember when I was writing God of War, I was like, oh my God, this really the end. And I was posting all of these videos of like crying, is this the end really? And I spent like 5 years in this universe. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a child. It's like a 5-year-old child now. And I feel, I mean, for me, maybe because I still have some ideas for it, it's not really over.
Yeah.
Like it's not completely done in my head. But I do feel like the Rinaverse, whatever is coming, is just part of the Rinaverse in a way, but in a different dimension, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So maybe we'll see some characters pop here and there. We don't know. We don't know.
We'll
I'm just
see.
keeping it open.
Absolutely. And obviously, after it came to an end, and I'll get to the new projects shortly, but is there anything that you like to do away from reading? Like, I know you mentioned the theatre. Like, is there stuff that you like to do away from writing that just gets you out of the cave for a little bit and gets you to separate that fiction and reality for just, a day or two, or hobbies?
I love traveling. I try
Mm-hmm.
to travel to at least 3 times
Yep.
a year. I try to. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But usually I try to travel at least 3 times to decompress
Yep.
and to actually, for me, the best part about travel is discovering other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So going to places I've never been before, I'm not one of those people who keeps going back to the same place, except for Japan. But otherwise, I do love going to places that I've never been before, discovering it, seeing different parts. And I do feel that opens the mind more.
Yeah.
Like it makes you feel like you're just a dust in the universe. And it's very, very beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
And I also love hiking sometimes, not all the time. And I love walking actually. So for me, like every day I try to go on a walk in the park and just like connect with nature in a bit, just be in a silent
Mm-hmm.
place, listening to an audiobook or whatever, and just taking a walk. And for
Yeah.
me, that really calms me a bit, especially when I'm stressed out about this chapter or that chapter. And I love anything that is more cultural in nature. So I love theater. I love going to classical music concerts.
Mm-hmm.
I love going to art galleries sometimes. Uh, but usually, I'm one of those people who love something that is more calm, not
Mm-hmm.
really into crowded places.
Yeah.
Anything that is where even if I'm going with people, I need to hear them talk.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can't go to a place where I'm shouting over the music or the people or whatever. That is very tiring for me. But I'm also an introvert, so crowds and me, not really friends.
Oh, Rina, in another life, we'd be best friends, let me tell you. I'm just ticking it off all like classical. Yes. Walks, yes. The hiking, that may be where you lose me a little bit, but the traveling.
Hiking when I'm traveling. Not,
Fair enough.
no, not every week. No. I had a friend. I have a German friend who took us once on a freaking, like, we took the car and we went to Scotland. And this dude, he planned a hiking for like 5 hours to the top of something. We left him in the middle and went back. I'm like, you go, send us pictures, bye bye.
Have fun.
I mean, as long as it's doable,
Yes.
not very hard, and not too many hours. Okay, I'm game. I prefer walking actually to hiking. So
No, so do
There's
I.
that.
We were just in Canada and we did a fair few walks that were a couple of like 2 hours, and I was like, okay, I got at the top, like I was heavy breathing, like it was not attractive. Like lucky that my boyfriend loves me, I guess, because that would have been his time to turn and run. And his brother was like, oh, and then the next time we're going to do this one. And it was like up a mountain. And I was like, you and you alone, buddy. Mm-mm.
No, not me. Not me.
My hiking days are over. But
Yeah, no.
the traveling, I really understand. Like I love to travel too. Do you find that you get some research out of it? Do you ever travel specifically for researching a place?
I actually mostly travel for research. So
Oh.
usually after I finish, yes, mostly. So after I finish a book, I usually travel.
Mm-hmm.
I need that reset because I need to forget about the previous book and
Yes.
start thinking about the next one. And usually I get a lot of inspiration when I am connected with nature. So I am mostly a sightseeing traveler. So when I travel, I don't like going to big cities.
Fair
I live in
enough.
London. I don't really like big cities much. I mean, I live in a very big city.
Yes.
So it's not something that I love the most. So if I'm going to France, I don't go to Paris.
Yes.
I go to the south of France. I go to the mountains. I go to anywhere where it is actually nature,
Yes.
not buildings,
To get away from that city life.
Exactly. So if I'm going to the Netherlands, I'm going to the countryside. If I'm going to Switzerland, I'm going to the countryside.
Yeah.
So, and I love, love, love just taking a car and driving.
Yeah.
And just experiencing that, like the air, and something like that. So for me, when I travel, I actually manage to reset.
That's nice.
Because I love connecting with nature. So it helps me in like going about my next project, whatever. But yes, I don't really like city traveling. I lost a lot of friends because of that, because they love the city. And I'm like, when are we getting out of here? When? When are we going to the beach, the mountain, anywhere?
Well, exactly. But I guess the traveling's over. You are onto your new project right now, and we have to talk about it. It caused such a stir when it was found on Goodreads. I remember being on Goodreads myself that day. And you know what? Like I remember speaking to an author friend, and I was like, I don't know if I should post about this. I feel like it's not done. Like, I don't know if it's an accident. And she was like, oh, look, if it's on Goodreads, it should be on Amazon. Like she was talking me through it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I posted about it and then it came out and I was like, okay, so maybe it was okay. But for a good hour there, I was like, just like, is Rina going to hate me? Like,
you and Mary that I did the interview with her the other time had the exact same reaction. I was like, I literally put it on Goodreads. We literally put it on Goodreads today. And we were going to announce it tomorrow. And you guys already found it, did all of your things. And I was like, I am actually very humbled by that experience, because now I have to think twice before I put anything.
You've got some detectives out there.
No, honestly, my agent calls you professional investigators, like PIs. She's like, the Rina PIs have actually seen this and seen that. Maybe we should actually announce it. So,
like, I'm a Scorpio. Nothing gets past me. It's almost like I woke up and I had the tingles and I was like, I think Rina's done something today. I must check.
You will get that soon again.
Oh, I love it. And I feel like you've just started posting like little crumbs now. And it's like you give something, but you give nothing at the same time. And it is a skill that you are so good at.
I need to keep you guys on your toes.
What are you loving most?
It's going to be worth it.
Oh, I can't wait. God.
I'm only on 25% now.
Mm-hmm.
The scene I wrote today was, I'm not going to say much about it, but basically it is, we meet the character that is going, I think, that I'm already falling in love with. And it's not even his book. So we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see.
I feel like has it been really fun coming into a new world? And especially, like, I know you've said that it's not obviously going to be massively onto the sports element, but has it been fun putting those elements in and thinking about that world?
Oh my God. So um I wrote like sports before, but basically like maybe Sebastian, like American
Yes,
football,
yes.
and Royal Elite, a bit of like football, actual European football. And I was for hockey, I was actually not really into hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a friend who's Polish, and he used to play hockey. And he took me with him on a game. And I was like, honestly, I'm taking the violence. It's like, see, I told you you're gonna love it.
This is so
And
up
I
your
was
alley.
like, it's like, it's the violence, see? And I'm like, how does it feel like to check people like that? And he was telling me all the rules and stuff. And he was sending me like all the games I should watch, like, because I told him I was writing a book. And he's like, it's absolutely brilliant. Like, my favorite part of hockey is actually kicking other people. I'm like, and hitting them, and that impact, that's like our favorite part. And I'm like, you know what? It's my favorite part too. And ever since then, I've been actually watching some hockey now, especially those, like, they do those compilations of
Yes.
NHL core of people hitting, and I'm like, yeah, that's you,
Yes.
and that's you. I'm like, hit him,
The
but not real
atmosphere,
life.
just
it's
electric.
it's it's brilliant. I'm like, as long as you don't really hurt him, you guys have protection on. It's cool.
Exactly. And did you go to that game before or after you decided to write Dark Hockey Romance?
No, before,
Was
before. That's why I actually decided
that the
to.
seed?
And I was, yes, it was
I
actually
love
supposed to be
that.
either American football. It was actually supposed to be American football. And I was like, you know what? This is more interesting. And like starting a new word and doing something that I've never wrote about before,
Yeah.
but actually making it a bit dark because the team is part of something bigger and it's a front of something bigger. And like for me, the most fun part, especially in the plotting stage, has been like figuring out the names and figuring out like the universe. You should see my chats with my two assistant. Which name sounds better for an asshole who does this and this and this? Which name sounds better for a girl who actually seems innocent, but she's not? And they're like, I think I like this. And then I would ask my agent and ask the rest of my team. And honestly, I didn't let them sleep one night. I'm like, no, no, no. I wrote the blurb. You need to tell me if it sounds good.
Oh, I just,
And then, and honestly, when I sent my assistant the blurb, she was like, let's go. They're
yeah.
gonna love it. And I was like, okay. And it actually gets me very excited because they're the only people I can talk to about it. And like the way they would be like, actually, I think I like this name sounds better. And they would be like, actually, maybe this one. And how about this name for this hockey team? How about this name? And honestly, I spent like a whole day just mapping it out. And that was one of my favorite days ever, like even before I even started. So that was amazing. And yeah, so
What?
that's all I'm going to say now.
And fair enough, because I know that there's a society sort of element to it, but we saw a little bit of that in
Yes.
Legacy of Gods. So it must be fun being able to expand completely into that side of this book too.
It's a bit different. So the Legacy of Gods is more about university clubs.
Yes.
This one is bigger than the university. So the society owns the university. It owns the
Oh,
club. It owns the town. So it's something bigger. It's definitely something bigger. And that makes like the stakes a bit higher.
yes.
Especially, I mean, especially since like the female, and this is different because the female lead is an outsider and
Yes.
she is trying to get in, so that is a very different experience than all the people being from there. And
Yes.
then like the Legacy of God series where everyone is rich, this is not the same.
Okay.
So we have many characters who are actually some of them come from the system, some of them had very bad childhood and all of that stuff. So It is going to be fun. And you heard it here first. There is going to be a hockey MM. Wait for it.
Okay, I nearly just ripped my headphones out. I think I just need a moment. Can I just have like 10 minutes just to sit and...
It's gonna happen, guys.
Oh
it's
my
gonna
goodness.
Happen.
I am so excited to hear that. That is so incredible. Yeah. Okay.
I'm very excited. I'm one of those people who is super, super excited about it. So wait for it.
I'm speechless. There's no coherent words now. So do you know what? Now that I've heard this, and thank you so much for coming on and speaking today. I shouldn't be ripping you out of the writing cave. We want that book, but I'm going to do everything I can to take this offline and get just a little bit more information if I can.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, really.
Thank you. I had so much fun speaking with Rina Kent, and I felt like I was just chatting to a friend about the books that we loved. I could have stayed on that interview for hours. It was just incredible. And I know you guys have a lot of questions that you want answered when it comes to Rina, whether that's about future books, past characters. And I hope some of these were answered, but I also hope that you maybe learned something new about Rina as an author, because it was actually so much fun getting to know her a little bit more. And if there's one thing I know for a fact, I know that we're just all waiting in the wings for the crumbs that she's dropping about this future series. It's all I think about already. And I feel like I know nothing. I can't wait. I'm just so excited. Okay, so these are the books that you may want to add to your TBR this month. So we've got Chase Our Forever by Kat Singleton. That is out on the 10th of this month. We've got Only With Me by Brooke Montgomery. This is out on the 23rd of October. And then finally, Finding Haze by Laura Pavlov. This one is out on the 24th of this month. So that's all for today, guys. I really hope that you either enjoyed listening or watching this podcast episode. And as always, you can find me at VReads on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. That's the tea this week. See you next time.